The SurRon, the Segway, both great options, very similar, but there are some fine details. Question I have is, why does Seth have two of these? Why does he need both of these?
Kind of a funny story. I showed my wife. I had purchased the SurRon, and she, you know, I've got electric unicycles and one wheels and things like this, and this was kind of my leveling up to that next speed bump as well as terrain bump. When I showed my wife the picture of the SurRon, she said, "Well, that's great, but where's mine?" So that's when I started looking back online, and that's when I saw the Segways had come down in price. My wife and I have had a lot of fun traveling around on the trails around our house, and I'm now able to share that experience with her, you know, that I've only ever been able to talk about.
Sure.
So now she can have a first-hand experience of being able to go out and ride with me.
Who would want something like this?
I would say that you're really going to reach a crossover audience with these things. They're so low in maintenance. You know, I don't know if you've ridden dirt bikes, but I mean, there's a lot of like tuning and things that you need to do. And with these things, it's just basically get on, turn the key on, and go. But as far as maintenance goes, you don't have a dirty engine to deal with. You don't have to mix gas and oil for a two-stroke engine, for instance. You just get on and go. These are actually both the same bike. They're both made by a company called SurRon. Segway happens to be the biggest shareholder in SurRon, and so they've released their own kind of branded version of this bike. So the biggest difference with the Segway as opposed to the SurRon is the Segway comes with an app. And so there's a lot of tuning that you can do with the bike, and you could do that through the app. You can adjust things like the regen rate, so how fast the battery regens or how much resistance you experience as you're coasting. So some people like to turn that regen rate off so that they could just coast without feeling that the drag. That's very easy to do with the Segway. You just open up the app, click on regen rate, and you can change it. You can also do that with the SurRon, but all of the programming for the SurRon has to be done using this programming cable. And you can find tutorials of how to do that online. But basically this programming cable will clip in between your controller and your battery. And then you'll tap in, kind of like Morse code, through the brake lever, the setting that you'd like to change. There's an LED that's on the programming cable. After you've successfully entered a code, it will kind of echo it back to you so that you know that it actually went in. And then you do have to go ahead and turn off the key and turn it back on, and then you've got the new profile that's set up in there. Another key distinction between the two bikes is that when you purchase the SurRon, the motor is governed, the wattage is governed to 750 watts. So basically the same level that electric mountain bike is governed at, a class 2 electric mountain bike. They won't let the bike go over about 28 miles an hour, and you're really just limited in the amount of power output. To change that is actually relatively easy. You just open up the battery box here, and there's a looped wire, green and black wire, and they tell you this right on the website how to do this, but basically once you clip that wire, it will unlock the full potential of the bike. And when I say the full potential of the bike, it's up to 50 miles an hour.
So before we clip this wire, we're going about 28 miles an hour. After we clip it, we're going 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Nice. The Segway has the same feature. It comes locked at that lower rate, but the difference with the Segway is once you watch the video, the intro video and things, then you're able to go ahead and unlock the Segway as well. The SurRons only come in black. Segway you can get in silver, red, blue, black.
Some of the main differences from my understanding are the Segway comes with an app that you can use to fine-tune the different settings. The SurRon doesn't come with an app, but you do so with kind of a Morse code tapping with the brake here. And then with the SurRon, there's a wire that you need to cut if you want to unleash the full potential of the ride. Otherwise, they look very similar. Why would someone pick the Segway over the Sur Ron or the Sur Ron over the Segway?
If you're the type of rider that wants to control everything about the behavior of the ride, you're probably going to want to go with the Segway because you can very easily just open the app, press a button, and you've changed those settings. With the Sur Ron, you're going to have to pull over to the side of the trail, plug in your programming cable, program in your settings, turn it off, turn it back on. It's just really cumbersome. Another key factor that may influence your decision is whether or not you want to pick the color. Do you want to have a black Sur Ron like everybody else, or do you want to be able to have a red or blue? So there's around a $399 price difference. And for that $399 price difference, you're going to be able to pick your color and you're going to get an app. And this is a good time to talk a little bit about expectations on range. The Segway actually, in their literature, says you're going to get 70 miles of range on this guy. That's never going to happen. I mean, maybe if you were walking it, you could get the 70 miles. But in my experience, as far as riding these guys, I'm getting around like 25 to 30 miles of range, so roughly half.
You're getting about 25 to 30 miles on a charge. What kind of riding is that? Is that street riding? Is it trail riding? How fast are you going? How hard are you riding?
Sure. Well, I ride hard all the time. So, and I would say with that, it's a mix. I usually do a mix because I'll take the bike, I'll ride it out to the trails, ride the trails, and then ride back on road. The trails that I'm riding are a lot of up and downs, a lot of whoop-de-doos, a lot of straight downhill, some climbing. So I'm doing a lot of mixed riding. So, you know, your mileage may vary. Grip it and rip it.
The Segway comes in two different packages. Can you tell us about the two different packages?
When you go shopping for the Segways, you're going to notice that there's an X160 and there's an X260. The X160, the smaller brother version of this guy, it's going to be about $1,000 less. The main differences are you're going to get a single crown fork as opposed to the dual crown fork. You're also going to get about half the battery range. You're also going to get about half the speed.
So if someone's thinking about trying to save some money, if you're thinking about the X160 versus a Sur Ron or 260, it sounds like if we were to kind of rank these in order of what you get for your money, it'd go 160 at the lowest, Sur Ron, and then Segway X260 if the app is something of interest to you, right? Yep. And the colors.
Yep. And I think that also another audience for the 160 would be like your son or daughter. So let's say that you buy the 260 and you want to put them on a bike, but you don't necessarily want them to be able to hit 50 miles an hour right out of the box. So that would be a good solution for a youth rider, I think, also. The 160 would be a good option.
Now, would you say these guys are more dirt bike or more electric mountain bike?
So one of the mistakes that I made was thinking that these were more electric mountain bike from the pictures and also from the fact that you can actually order a pedal kit from the manufacturer as well.
When you say pedal kit, that's an actual kit that you can get and you put pedals on these bikes?
Pedal kit, you know, you take this on a bike path or something, even with a pedal kit, I think anybody's going to know this is a dirt bike. It's not really a mountain bike. I was actually pulled over by the sheriff recently in the bike lane, and he told me that I couldn't drive a motorcycle in the bike. He asked me for my insurance, asked me for my registration. I said, sir, this bike it's an electric bike. It doesn't even have a VIN number. And he said, well, unless it has pedals, it's not an electric bike in my book. So that's why I thought it would be a good option to go ahead and get the pedal kit. And that way I just kind of fly under the radar a little bit more of my local sheriff.
Which one would you recommend for me? And which one would you recommend for yourself?
Well, I know you like gadgets, and I think that I would probably recommend the Segway to you just because you've got the app. I would say that if being able to adjust the ride is important to you while you're riding, if the color is important to you, I think those are two big factors that would influence your decision to go ahead and get the Segway. Ready to go?
All right.
Here we go.
after riding these for a little bit, I mean, these are amazing. It's a ton of fun. If you're interested in getting into motorcycling or dirt biking, but not wanting to pay for license, registration, insurance, I think this is a great way to get started, to see if this is something that you want to really do. Less maintenance, less money. I do miss the noise though. You know, as a kid, you always grow up hearing the noise and making the noise when you're riding your bike, you know.